All right, strap in, everybody. Today we're going deep on something that sounds like it's straight out of a spy movie.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Think about your router. Yeah, that little box that makes sure you get your cat videos and work emails. You know what I mean?
Keeps the internet humming.
Exactly. Now imagine that thing, that little box, becoming like a weapon in some kind of global cyber attack. Kind of scary when you think about it that way, huh?
Yeah, a little less cute then, but he hit the nail on the head. It really is about control. And that's what this new Chinese botnet is all about. Quad 7.
Oh, it's 7.
Also goes by 7777. X login, if you're feeling fancy. It basically turns these everyday routers, the ones you find in homes and small offices, SOHO routers, into tools for these attackers.
So it's not just some ancient router in a dusty basement somewhere?
Nope. We're talking name brand stuff. TP-Link, Zyxel.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those.
Asus, Accentra, D-Link, even Netgear.
Okay, so my router could be compromised. How does that even happen? Does it, like, hijack my Wi-Fi signal and steal my passwords out of thin air or something?
Not quite, but it is sneaky. It exploits vulnerabilities, and a lot of times there's this back door. On TCP port 7777.
TCP port?
Right. It's a way for devices to communicate, but in this case, it lets the attackers in, gives them remote access to the infected device.
So they can just control my router from somewhere else?
Pretty much. And here's the thing. This isn't some kid messing around in their basement. We're talking about a group called Storm 0940, Chinese threat actor.
So this is serious business.
Oh, yeah. They've been active since 2021, and they're not playing around.
Okay, so they control these routers. Then what? What's the point?
Think about all the stuff that goes through your router. Logins, passwords, financial data, private messages.
You're making me nervous.
It's a goldmine for anyone into cyber espionage, and that's Storm 0940's specialty. They're after the good stuff. Think tanks, government organizations, law firms, even the defense industry.
So they're not after, like, my Netflix password?
Probably not. They're aiming higher than that.
That's a relief, I guess.
Yeah.
But how do they actually get this information? Is it some super complicated code-breaking thing?
You'd be surprised. It's actually pretty low tech, which makes it even more effective. They use what's called a password spray attack.
A password spray.
Yeah, instead of trying a ton of passwords on one account and setting off alarms, they take a few common passwords, the ones everybody uses.
Like password 123.
Exactly. And they try those across thousands of accounts.
So they're casting a wide net.
Precisely.
But wouldn't all those login attempts show up somewhere? Someone has to notice that, right?
That's where Quad 7 gets really clever. It's designed to only try once per account per day.
So it's slow and steady.
Like a drip, drip, drip under the radar.
Until it's too late.
Exactly.
And what happens if this drip works? What can they do once they're in?
Game over, pretty much. Let's say they get lucky with one of those common passwords.
Someone in accounting used their dog's name, maybe.
Could be. That's all it takes. They're in. And from there, it's like dominoes. Lateral network movement, malware, like remote access Trojans, nasty stuff. Gives them full control. And then they can get to the real prize data exfiltration.
So someone's weak password could compromise the whole network.
Potentially, yeah.
That's terrifyingly efficient.
It is. And remember, we're not just talking about one organization here. Microsoft estimates there are around 8,000 devices actively compromised in the Quad 7 network right now.
8,000. Jeez.
And 20% of those are busy doing these password sprays.
That's a lot of potential breaches. With all the focus on cybersecurity these days, how are they getting away with this?
They're not just sitting around, that's for sure. Since Microsoft exposed this whole thing, Quad 7's actually gone kind of quiet.
Or laying low.
Seems like it. They're probably switching things up, getting new infrastructure, maybe changing their fingerprints to make it harder to track them.
So even with the spotlight on them, they're still adapting and evolving?
It's a constant game of cat and mouse, except the mouse has gotten a lot smarter. It really is. And the battlefield's getting bigger, too. It's not just some far-off server farm anymore. It's your house, your office, anywhere you've got a device connected to the internet.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's easy to think this is just a problem for governments and big corporations.
Right?
But if my little router can become part of this, well, what about everyone else? What about the average person?
It just means the threat's closer to home than you think. I mean, look around. We live in a world where refrigerators can tweet and doorbells recognize your face.
It's true, it's true.
Every single thing that's connected, that's a potential way in, and most people don't even realize it.
So it's not just about protecting passwords and credit card numbers anymore.
It's bigger than that. You're talking about your whole digital life. Your home,
Yeah.
your privacy, all of it.
It's kind of unsettling.
It is. And And here's the thing, the more we depend on all this technology, the higher the stakes get. Imagine hackers messing with critical infrastructure, not just stealing data.
Okay, now that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh, it's not sci-fi anymore. It's happening. We've seen attacks on power grids, hospitals, even election systems. And the
Recent.
more connected we get, the more chaos they can cause.
So this isn't just about individuals being careful anymore. It's a much bigger problem.
It's a systemic problem. We need to start thinking about security from the ground up, building systems that can handle these attacks. It's not enough to just tell people to use strong passwords and update their software, though that's important too, of course.
So where do we go from here? We've talked about strong passwords and MFA. What else can we do to protect ourselves?
Awareness is huge. People need to get it every click, every download, every device you connect. It's all a risk. I'm not saying to live in fear, just be informed, make smart choices.
Be mindful about your digital life.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, most people aren't security experts. They
Right.
don't have time to analyze every email or website. What can they do to make things easier?
There are tools out there, password managers, for example.
Password managers.
Take the guesswork out of remembering a million different passwords.
Oh, I love my password manager.
Yeah.
I used to use the same password for everything. Not anymore, though.
Good. They also can alert you if your info's been compromised, too.
Well, that's handy.
And it's not just passwords. There are security apps that can scan for malware, block phishing attempts, even encrypt your internet traffic. And if you've got a smart home, you can make those devices more secure, too.
Okay, how do you do that?
Be picky about the brands you choose. Do your research. Look for ones with a good reputation for security. Two-factor authentication's a must. Regular firmware updates, too. And don't be afraid to go into those settings and disable features you don't use, like remote access or data sharing.
So treat those smart devices like any other important account with strong passwords and MFA.
You got it. And don't just set them up and forget them. Check for updates. Go through those security settings every so often.
So strong passwords, MFA. Keep your software up to date. Sounds like the golden rules of cybersecurity, no matter what device you're using.
You got it. Those are the basics, and they'll protect you in most situations.
But even with all that, I'm guessing there's still a chance something could go wrong.
Of course. Nothing is 100% foolproof. But the goal isn't to be completely invulnerable. It's about making yourself a less appealing target. Hackers go for the easy wins. They see too many roadblocks, they'll probably move on.
Like putting a lock on your bike. It might not stop a determined thief, but it might make them think twice.
Exactly. Same idea applies online. More layers of security mean it's harder for them to break through.
That makes sense. But what about the future? Is it always going to be this back and forth between the good guys and the bad guys?
Cybersecurity is always changing. It's a dynamic landscape for sure. But one thing's certain, it's only going to get more important in the future.
Why is that?
Think about it. We're
Yeah.
just going to keep getting more and more reliant on connected devices. The Internet of Things is exploding. Every new device, that's another potential target for hackers.
So the problem's only going to get bigger.
Right. And at the same time, hackers are getting more sophisticated, more organized. Nation-state actors are even getting involved, and that raises the stakes considerably.
So it's not just some teenager in their basement trying to steal credit card numbers anymore.
Nope. We're talking organized groups, lots of resources, serious motivations.
So we need to up our game too.
We do, and we are. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening in cybersecurity right now.
Like what?
Artificial intelligence is a big one. AI can analyze tons of data, spot patterns, and flag suspicious activity, things humans might miss.
So it's like having a digital bodyguard watching your back.
Kinda, yeah. AI can be used to build smarter security systems that can detect and respond to threats right away.
That sounds pretty impressive. But what about us humans? Are we going to be replaced by robots?
Not entirely, no. AI is a powerful tool, don't get me wrong, but it's not a magic solution. We still need humans to look at the data, make decisions, come up with strategies.
So it'll be a team effort, humans and machines working together.
Exactly. That's the future of cybersecurity, in my opinion.
This has been fascinating. I feel like I've learned so much about the state of cybersecurity and the challenges we're facing in this increasingly connected world. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us.
Happy to do it. The more people understand about cybersecurity, the better.
You've definitely given us all a lot to think about, and hopefully some steps we can take to be safer online.
But that's the goal. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Well said. Before we wrap up, I want to thank all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity.
We appreciate you tuning in.
Be sure to stick around for the outro, where we'll leave you with something to think about as you navigate the digital world.
It's crazy to think something like a router, this little box most people don't even think about, can open up this whole world of cyber threats.
Yeah, it really shows you how deeply tech's embedded in our lives now. We connect everything, our homes, cars, even our health data. We don't even think twice.
But all that convenience comes with a price, right? Definitely. And it's not just about hackers stealing our data. We need to be thinking about the bigger picture, the ethical side of it all.
Oh, absolutely.
Who can see our data? What are they doing with it? What happens when so much of our lives is online?
Those are big questions. No easy answers either.
Nope. But we got to start asking them as we move forward, I mean.
It's not just up to governments or tech companies to figure this out, is it?
Definitely not. This is a conversation we all need to be having.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think that's the perfect question to leave our listeners with.
Let's hear it.
Our world is getting more and more reliant on tech, right? So what does that mean for the future? What are the risks? And how do we deal with those risks without losing the benefits of all this amazing technology?
It's a tough balance, but it's a challenge we have to face head on. We can't let fear stop us from exploring what's possible, but we can't be naive about the potential downsides either.
That's a great way to put it. So to everyone listening, that's your homework. Think about it. Talk about it. Let's work together to build a digital future that's both innovative and secure.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Quad 7 and the future of cybersecurity.
And until next time, stay curious, stay safe online, and we'll see you back here for another deep dive.